Hey folks, Jason here with another drum set instructional video. This one is a set of preparatory exercises for funk drumming. This is something I do with my students, especially my beginning students, when they're starting to get into funk as a style of music on the drum set. So we're going to focus on a few different technical things in this video just to get started. The first thing I think with funk is to think about two key principles, and these are things that you hear in a lot of funk music. The first principle is the importance of the backbeat, 2 and 4 on the snare drum. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nothing really shocking there. That's pretty true in a lot of styles, I think. The other thing, and you'll hear drummers say this, is it's all about the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So a really strong 1. So those are two pretty standard things that you want to think about in funk music. You can actually play a considerable amount of funk music just using this very basic groove of a kick drum on beat 1, hi-hat playing 8th notes, and snare on 2 and 4. Right? But a lot of funk music also involves 16th note syncopations. So if we're thinking about the beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a, right? That is acting as a sort of grid, and other instruments, specifically the bass and guitar, are playing different rhythms on that grid. Right, so the guitar is doing like that chicken scratch kind of thing. The bass player might be playing a very syncopated bass line with a lot of E's and U's. 1E, E, right? Things like that. So as the drummer, it's our job in funk music to really lock into and create a pocket with the bass and the guitar. If there's a percussionist as well, that's another consideration. But at a minimum, you're going to have at least a bassist and a guitarist. So what I've created here is a series of exercises using some different rhythmic subdivisions on the hi-hat. So we can think about most funk music as falling into either 8th notes on the hi-hat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or 16th notes on the hi-hat, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and, right? That's what a lot of funk music essentially is, right? So what we're going to do here are some basic 16th note variations on the kick drum. Right now, earlier I said it's all about the 1. I'm going to return back to that concept, the strong 1 on the kick drum, at the very end of this video. But for right now, what I want us to do is go through a 16th note grid on the kick drum. We're basically going to work through all 16 of the 16th notes in a measure of 4/4. Right? So if we think about it this way, I'll go ahead and subdivide 16th notes in my voice. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a. So notice what I'm doing. I'm basically moving forward to whatever the next 16th note in the measure is. Starting with the first 16th note, which is 1. Then we go to the E of 1. Then and, then the then beat 2, etc., etc. So before we do anything else, what I first want us to do is this. See if you can do this with a metronome, hi-hat, and kick drum, which is take your dominant hand. We're not going to work on alternating 16ths yet, but very slowly just play 16th notes while going through that grid on the kick drum. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1. Next up is the E of 1. Then the and of 1. 2E and a 3E and a 4E and the 2E and a 3. So on and so forth. Right? Now there's, as I mentioned before, 3 different rhythmic layers on the hi-hat. You can do 8th notes. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2. Right? So you've got that element on the hi-hat, just doing 8ths and moving the 16ths on the grid in the kick. The next thing you can do is straight 16th notes. These are just regular 16th notes, 1E and a 2E and a 3. And just keeping that in the hi-hat with the backbeat in the snare and moving through the grid on the kick. For example, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2. Now the E of 1. Now the and of 1. Now the of 1. So on and so forth. right? When you feel good doing straight 16th notes, go to swung 16th notes. So instead of a straight even feel of 1 E and a 2 E and a, we're essentially thinking 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, right? More of this shuffle or swinging 16th note feel. So 1 E and, now I'm going to go to the E of 1, now the and of 1, so on and so forth, right? So those are 3 different rhythmic layers. Another variable you can think about is sticking. Notice how for all of those I just did a right hand or dominant hand lead, right? If you're left-handed, you would start with your left hand. But it's also important to be able to do a lead with your non-dominant hand as well as alternating 16ths, right? So for example, if I'm doing straight 16ths, let's say, make part of your practice routine not just one-handed 16th notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, right? Do that same thing with the 16th note grid, moving through each 16th note on the kick, but alternating. So I'm going to do a dominant hand lead sticking. Since I'm right-handed, I'm going to start with the right hand. I'm just alternating right, left, 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 moving to 2 and 4 on the backbeat and the snare. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Right, so practicing that as well. So moving through the grid on the kick drum, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and, now the E, now the and, now the so on and so forth, right? And then be able to do the same thing, but using your non-dominant hand as the lead. So I'm going to move to my non-dominant hand, the left hand. I'm going to think left, right, 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 left. And I'm going to do the same thing, backbeat in the snare, left, right, 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 left. And then do the same thing, adding in the kick drum 16th note grid, starting with 1, now the E of 1, now the and of 1, right? So on and so forth, right? So I'm going to have a separate video where I go through each of these and you can really see those in slow motion and practice through all these variations. But I think this is a really important thing to practice when you're doing funk. Now, one last thing for this video, which is to think about the 1. Remember at the beginning of the video I said it's all about the 1? You'll hear funk drummers say that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. A really strong 1, this sort of gut punch that gives it an oomph to the music. So if you're doing all the 16ths on the grid, there's going to be 2 places where you have a double in the kick. This is if you're trying to do the E of 1. So if you're doing both that strong 1, again, it's all about the 1, but you're also adding in the E of 1, you're going to get 1 E, 2 E, and a 3 E, and a 4 E, and a 1 E, and a 2 E, and a 3 E, and a 4 E, and a... Right? And the other place in the grid you're going to see that is leading back into the downbeat. So the of 4, 1 E, and a 2 E, and a 3 E, and a 4 E, and a 1. So that a 1, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a... Right? So that's another consideration. I'm going to have a separate video where I don't do any talking and I just go through each of these exercises. So if you want something to practice along with, go ahead and check out that video. I've put it at the link in the description box below. If you would like a PDF of the 16th note grid showing how the kick drum lines up in different places with the hi-hat and the snare, there's also an email address that you can send an email to me at, and I'll be happy to send you sheet music in PDF file format for that. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all have a great day.